Hello. It's the middle of February and it has been raining for about a month and a half, pretty much non-stop. Um, it's been miserable. Everything is so wet, it's unbelievable. Flooding everywhere and not great for getting outside and doing stuff. But after a while you just sort of think, well, that's just going to have to get on with it, frankly. Otherwise I'll never get out. So I am out. Um, it's just stopped raining actually, but yeah, believe me, there's been plenty of rain today. This is no exception. Everything is saturated, but I'm going to try and get a fire going and sit around. I've got some black pudding in my bag, a beer, and yeah, hopefully just enjoy being out. The birds are singing. It's not actually that cold, but yeah, not great conditions for lighting a fire. So that's going to be the challenge really in these really wet, damp, cold conditions, windy as well a bit. It can be very hard to get a fire going. So stay with me and we'll see how we get on. So the first key consideration really is location. Where are we going to put our fire? And now that right there, I'm thinking is looking quite hopeful, because what I want to be looking for is somewhere relatively dry on the ground, hopefully, somewhere I can put up shelter if I need to, and plenty of resource, plenty of fuel readily thereabouts. So those kinds of things I'm really thinking about. So let's have a look over here, because this is a birch tree and that means birch bark and hopefully dryish twigs. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, that's nice and snappy, matchstick thin stuff. Hopefully you can see that, just how well that's snapping. Hopefully I can get some of that dry, and that's going to work nicely as kindling. And then bark, well, let's see. So on top it is all pretty wet and that's not ideal, but down below here, yeah, look, I'm thinking that bit there, there's only rain running down there, it's going to go inside. Yeah, it might be wet on the inside, but hopefully down here underneath it might be quite dry. So let's see. Yes, I'm thinking this looks quite hopeful. Oof. Well, things come down. Okay. Not quite what I was planning, but makes life easier in a way. Okay, so that's quite a nice bit of dry-ish bark. Yeah. Okay. Hopefully we're getting something to work with here. Now, looking around, thinking that big oak there and this hazel here, distance is good. I can put up a tarp between there. And look, I've even got a little seat there, something to sit on. And these other bits which are on the ground, they're going to be useful to me. There are places off the ground I can get a little wood store that's going to stay relatively dry. So yeah, I think this looks like a pretty decent spot. So for now, I'm wanting that birch bark to get just as dry as possible, and that means using my body heat. So let's see Let's stick it in the pocket here. Will do in that regard. I've also got my hat there, which will hopefully soak up any moisture. There we go. It's all the little tricks that make a difference, those marginal gains that we're after. Right, let's get this tarp up. Alright, so I've got my tarp up, as you can see. It's good enough. I did it very quickly. The beauty of this spot is there's so much stuff around to tie things to. I've not had to bother carving any pegs or anything like that. So it's quick and simple. I haven't tied the best knots. If I was staying for a long time and it was critical, I'd do a better job, but I'm only here for a few hours, so it's fine. What it does is gives me a nice bit of shelter to work under. So now I can start storing materials out of the rain, getting them dry, and I've got a base, so all good. Okay, so here near my seat, I'm gonna have the fire about there. You can see I've just built up a really rough pile of wood. This is not firewood, there's all damp stuff from the ground, but it's a rack, it's a drying rack essentially. So I can just pile stuff on there, keep it off the damp ground, ready to go. I don't want to be too hasty about this, and the thing to do is to really check that everything you're taking is properly brittle, got that nice snap, otherwise reject it. So just take your time, make sure you're getting good stuff and plenty of it. You see now, that is, hopefully you can see, way too bendy, no good at all. So scrap that, move on. How about over here? That's a bit bendy too. There's plenty around. I can be fussy. that's good. Nice. Okay, so, you know, we're not talking small quantities. I've got a decent handful there, and I'm going to get more than that. I'll probably double that. All right, so now, as you can see there, I've got two nice big piles drying out in the wind, off the ground, under my tarp, away from the rain. And it's time to think about the next stage, because, you know, with a fire, it's the old analogy of riding a bike or driving a car that you've got to go out through the gears. The reason for having so much of that matchstick thin stuff is we're really going to have to drive off that damp, the next layer up. So we need a roaring fire to do that. Lots of heat to get rid of that moisture, because everything is wet. So I will now be looking for stuff that's kind of pencil thick, and I'll get some decent piles of that together. Again, I'm being as fussy as I can be. If it don't snap, don't take it. And if it's touching the ground, don't take it. I want stuff that's hanging up in the trees, that snaps really nicely, like that. Okay. Again, I'll probably get a bit more than that, but that's good. All right, and thumb thickness next. Let's see what we got here. Oh. You may have noticed, so far I haven't used a single tool. Hasn't been necessary. I don't want stuff that I'm going to have to cut, because if I have to do that, it's probably too tough. It's not going to burn. Having said that, we're moving on to next stage stuff now, so we might start to need to, but let's see. So just right here, another reason why I chose this spot. It's not too punky. It's getting towards it, but I think that's probably all right. That should burn okay. So I've been going for stuff that's as upright as possible. You can see the bark here is just coming off. That means it's probably pretty well seasoned and ready to burn. Yeah, it might be a little punky in places, but I think we'll probably be all right with this. So I've got a decent amount of wood now. Hopefully, if I split some of this down, it's dry enough inside, we should be able to use it, and we'll be pretty much good to go. All right, so before I start splitting wood, I will just have a little check on my birch bark. Let's examine it. I think that's drying out pretty nicely. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. I think that should be okay. Fingers crossed. Right, so put that back in the pocket. Now, got this nice chunk here. That's my batten, and finally I'm going to actually start using a tool. So, got my Kellum Wolverine Poco, Lovely knife. It's not, you know, it's not a full tang. I mean, it is full tang, but it's prong tang. But it's tough enough for what I need to do here, that's for sure. So let me see. We'll start with this bit. There's another reason to be in this area. Having these bits of wood on the ground just gives me a natural platform. Yeah, that should be all right. Not sure if you can see my little platform here. So again, everything off the ground, out of the damp. Okay, go to this longer bit. We're right on the edge of what this blade is capable of. It's about 9 centimeters long, this, but that should be enough to get at some dry wood. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm not sure if you can see, but the log I'm working on is just disintegrating. Everything is so wet and rotten, and it's not surprising really. And it is punky, but hopefully not too punky. Or at least not too damp. That's what matters. Do one more. Of course, if you are limited by your knife and you're wanting to do larger things, you can fashion yourself a little wedge and do it that way. But yeah, I'm not sure about that one. It's quite damp in there. I'll probably give that a miss, but hey, until you open it up, you don't know. Anyway, I think I've probably got enough. To get things started, at least. You know, once it's a roaring flame, you can put things like that on. Once there's real established heat in there, it will burn pretty much anything, even if it does smoke a bit. So I think I'm relatively happy that all my prep is done. I just need to scrape myself a fire hole there so I can leave no trace when I'm done, and then we'll get started, actually get this fire going. Nice thing about this time of year is you don't have to worry too much about setting the woods on fire, that's for sure. Nevertheless, we'll try and get down to bare earth and leave myself with a pile of stuff that I can cover over my fire scar, because I hate it. I hate going out into the woods and finding other people's fire scars there. It's like, get rid of it. It's not that difficult. Leave no trace. Okay, not having a massive fire, so that'll do. And then one other thing to do is to make a bit of a platform to work on. What that does is it again gets us off the damp ground, and it means, just give you a better look, and it means there's a bit of air circulation too. Okay, actually I've modified that slightly, as you can hopefully see. Those bits which I said are perhaps too damp to be much good as firewood, they are dry enough to be a platform, and it's now nice and flat, so that's going to help when it comes to scraping birch bark and putting a spark into it. We've got something good to work on there. Alright, so just give you one last overview of what I've got. 2 piles of kindling. Next size up. Again, going up through the sizes, through the gears. So hopefully that should do the trick. Okay, so annoyingly folks, you have to take my word for this. I managed to press the button in my pocket and turn the camera off just before I put the piles of kindling on. And look, there they are. They're no longer over there. They're here. It's gone up like a rocket. We've got a blazing fire. Hallelujah. Look at that moisture. How damp the wood is. That's what we're fighting. But when you get your fire hot enough, it'll do the trick. So you can see now how that fire's died down, but because I got the big wood on quickly enough, it's all going. It's really hot, and it's going to be good to cook on in a little while. I'm really annoyed though that I missed the moment of magic where I put those bundles of twigs on and it all went up. Curses. Lesson learned, don't put this little bad boy in your pocket when you're filming. Hey ho. I'm not sure if you can hear that. It's raining, but I'm dry. Okay, so I've scraped out a little bed of embers and I've got this. So some of this is going on. What I didn't bring with me was much in the way of cutlery or anything like that. So I've just got my water bottle lid. That's going to have to be my plate. Oh, that's hot. Whew. Let's give it a go. Mm. Mm. It's so good. It's so simple. Mm. Some people will look at what I'm doing and go, oh, yeah, it's disgusting you cooked it in the fire. It's got bits all over it. You scrape those off and they're perfectly clean. It's been in the fire. It's perfectly sterilised. So this is all good. Very good. Cheers, folks. Mm. Mm. It's just got that peppery goodness. Mm. So nice. Just being out in the woods with no one to disturb you. Rain doesn't matter, because you've got a tarp up, you're fine. Fire to keep you warm. This is brilliant. I love it. I'm not going to, but I could easily eat that whole black pudding. It was so nice. I will take it home though. Yeah, a little while ago when I wasn't filming, the wind really got up and then the rain came through. But it didn't matter. It's absolutely fine. Yeah. Happy days. So, the fire has burned down. I could get that going again, but I'm not going to. Need to make a move fairly soon. So, thanks for watching, folks. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learned something. Yeah, getting a fire going in damp conditions can be tricky. The thing is not to cut corners. You saw how much preparation I did. That's what you need to do. If you want to be guaranteed a success, do the prep first, and then you won't be disappointed. Cheers.